All right, so good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. So I'm going to talk to you about branding, and probably it's the most misunderstood term in marketing. And the reason why it's important for the M&A group is that brand is a kind of like a silent salesperson for the company that can absolutely increase revenues and profitability, and therefore increase multiples when you're ready to sell. And if we get to a situation early enough and can impact the sales based on the brand, then it'll enhance the sale. So basically, the idea with a brand is to create robotic buying. And what do I mean by that? So what I essentially mean is that at some point, I'm like a self-fulfilled prophecy in that I get fired because you don't need me anymore. You're involved in so many opportunities strictly because of your brand that you don't really have to market all that much anymore. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you think about it, when was Coke and Pepsi, they try to take from each other basically minuscule basis points of a large marketplace, but neither of them ever have to advertise anymore. And the same could be true for a small company in a small regional market. So this is going to be an interactive presentation, which essentially means that I'm going to give you some background just to give you some perspective on what brand really is, and then I'm going to have you guys take out some paper and some pencils and write some answers for yourself that are basically designed to open up your minds to things that you might not have thought about your own business. So here we go. So most people define brand, when they think of a brand, they think of it as a visual symbol. So here are a bunch of visual symbols that are immediately recognizable. If you guys want to, you can shout out. I know a lot of you are on mute, but you can shout out the ones that you recognize immediately, or you just know what they are. And they really are just symbols of what a brand is, a visualization of that brand is. So here's what some of them are. As you can see, I had problems with Safeway and Boeing. I didn't really know what Boeing was, or Sporkle. I really have no idea what Sporkle even is, but so I certainly did not know the logo. But you can see that, gee, I recognize these things, but what do they really mean? And that's what I want to talk about. In actuality, a brand is much, much more than that. It's the essence of what your business stands for. And this could be a small company, large. Let me preface the small company aspect by saying every single company in the world started in a garage or a basement. So, including Amazon and Google and Apple, the famous HP garage, it starts on a shoestring. So who can say which one of us is going to be on the S&P in 5 years? I mean, there was no such thing as Google 30 years ago. So it's the essence of what your business stands for. And it really is all about emotion, because every sale is made on emotion. It's the emotional embodiment of the relationship and the purchase. Move this out of the way here so I can see what I'm doing here. Remember, nobody remembers what they bought. They remember how they felt when they bought it. So that's the reason why you would have well, it used to be a big fat brochure when you were buying your next car. You carried around that brochure, and it really was the brand. It was the emotional attachment to the thing that you were going to buy before you actually bought it. Now, today it's an electronic brochure, but it's on your cell phone that you carry with you all the time. You can always look at what you're going to buy. Same thing with a vacation. If you think about it, it's almost the lead up to the vacation is almost as pleasurable as the vacation itself. It's all emotion, and that is what drives every sale, no matter what it is. So what does a brand provide? First of all, peace of mind. You understand what that brand is and you recognize it, so you don't have to deal with it. Time savings. You don't have to discover anymore. You know what the brand is, and you trust it. Safety. So again, that's a trust aspect. I guess some people with glass half empty would say it's the evil you know, but it is in a sense. It's differentiation, not in the product, but for you, because the brands that you enjoy or are loyal to kind of define who you are in many ways. It's added value because you know that if the brand extends into other products that carry that brand name, you're going to go for it. You're going to at least look at it because you trust that brand. And it's reasons to share your good fortune. So essentially what this means is that if you trust the brand, you want to tell your friends and your family about it and share in your good fortune in finding a great brand with them. And it's true that it does feed your ego as well. That's part of it, but a lot of it has to do with the trust of the brand. So the classic description of a brand is what we call the 4 Ps: the purpose, why the brand is there; the position, how it juxtaposes vis-a-vis all the other considerations that you might take, other competitors that you might look at; the promise. So this is what it promises that it's going to give you, which is slightly different from a purpose, because a purpose is more of an altruistic aspect. And then personality. How does it speak to you? These are the classic 4 Ps of a brand. I'm going to go into them in detail. Okay, so purpose. This is the why. It's the passion of what you do. It'll show through. So I look at Starbucks. So I always say that, my dad passed away in 1975. And if he just woke up today, what would he be surprised at? He wouldn't be surprised at us paying for bottled water. He wouldn't be surprised at a cell phone, which is essentially a computer in your pocket. But man, he'd be shocked at a $5 cup of coffee. That's what he'd be shocked at. So is Starbucks really delivering that? Is that their purpose? Not really. What they deliver is an environment. They deliver a place for you to go to in between your home and your office, where you can settle in, you can go online, you can do a lot of different things, but that's what they're selling. It's almost like a club, and the ticket to the club is the $5 cup of coffee. That's the purpose in their delivery of the brand to the marketplace. The position is very interesting. So the position is differentiation. How do you differentiate from your competitors? So companies like Bear Naked that actually developed granola, the granola marketplace, they differentiated by bringing a new category to market in a very major way. And of course, they were sold to Kellogg's. FedEx, they differentiated by what they said. So there was actually nothing different between FedEx and DHL and Airborne in those days. As a matter of fact, people used to make fun of Fred Smith because if you sent a letter from Plainview to Jericho, it had to go through Nashville. And so people would say that's crazy, but eventually he proved out his model. But FedEx differentiated because they were fail safe. They said when it positively, absolutely had to get there overnight. They said it twice, and that's what differentiated them. You have Google, which defined a new way of advertising. That's how they differentiated. Uber, which took taxi service and made it crowdsourced and created ways for people to create income for themselves. Tesla, I don't have to tell you about Tesla. My son works for them, and their goal is to shoot a car out from the assembly line in, every 30 seconds. So they are defining. They're actually disrupting a major industry, which is energy. Home Depot, Apple, the list goes on and on. Facebook. These are differentiated companies. And again, let me emphasize that although these are national or international brands, the same thing can be done in a limited geographical market, in a limited vertical market. So the question is, do you have your white space, or is this something you can create? Now, these companies found white space, but it's difficult. I like to think of it as gray space. Gray space is, can you exist in an environment where people are doing what you do, but you just do it better and you communicate it better? That's the positioning that you should be looking for in a realistic sense. So, positioning is all about defining yourself vis-a-vis your competitors. So I look at, for example, this is a traditional business 2x2 where you're looking at price and quality. These are the main X and Y axes you'd find in this type of differentiation chart. But let's take like German luxury cars. We'll look at Mercedes, Audi, and BMW. You know, all of those exist in that upper right quadrant. They're high price and high quality, but they're different. You know, Mercedes has a totally different persona than, from a brand standpoint, than a BMW. I just bought a Mercedes. You know, I'm done at age 64. I'm done with people, with me needing people to think that I'm fast and sporty. You know, I want something comfortable, so I go for a Benz. So even in that sense, you can look at differentiation. You can also take the price angle or the quality angle and add coolness factor too. And then if you did that, then Mercedes would probably be in the upper left-hand quadrant and BMW would be in the upper right-hand quadrant. It's high price, it's high price or it's high quality, but one's cooler than the other. So where do you sit from a positioning standpoint in terms of your brand? Now you have brand promise. So this is all about trust. It's the trust between your brand and the user so that they can depend on that brand. So here are some major brands here. And, you know, if you look at some of these promises that they're making, like Geico wants 15 minutes to save you money, to save you 15%. So you know that's what their promise is. BMW is the ultimate driving machine. So when you buy a BMW, you can trust that it's going to be ultimate. You know, you're going to really drive. Oops, sorry about that. So, and it goes on and on. Apple is all about thinking different. Walmart is all about selection and value. This is the promise that they are delivering to you. And think about that word trust. How do your clients feel about trusting you or your prospects? So personality, this is the fourth piece. So the industry that I use to describe this is the insurance industry. And I apologize to anyone on the phone that sells insurance, but insurance is a poison pill product. You don't want it until you need it, and you hate paying for it until it pays you back. Hopefully you never have to have it pay you back, but you need it. So what happens? Two women with guts of steel walk into a layered disability insurance company that did most of its business in Japan and say to them, we're going to make you the largest layered disability company in the world with a talking duck. And today, when you get an Aflac policy, you get a little squeeze duck. So if you look, all these insurance companies followed suit. I mean, Farmers' slogan under their logo now is bump it um bum bum. I don't know what that has to do with insurance, but it sure has a lot to do with how I feel about Farmers. Insurance companies made it cool to buy insurance. State Farm, Mr. Mayhem, Nationwide, with Peyton Manning. You know, I like veal parmesan. I mean, that's an insurance commercial extending brand. So how would you describe your business as a person if it had human characteristics? Would it be confident, serious, fun? These are critical things when you're developing a brand. And Aflac started it all. So this is the way your brand behaves and speaks and engages with the outside world, and it's all about emotion. People choose brands because of emotion. So let's burn some brain cells now, because I'm going to ask you some questions about your business, and I'm going to give you probably like 15 seconds per answer, but I want you to write down some of the answers here. You can be thinking about your business in a totally different way. We're going to open up your minds, basically. And I know you're not used to this. You're not used to thinking about that, but this is important. This is important for you to just consider. So here's question number one. You're on an escalator. It's a really short escalator. You have 4 seconds to tell me why I should fire my current supplier and hire you. Go. Just write down the reason that you feel that that your current supplier should be fired and they should hire you. Okay. Question number 2. Your business is filled with facts and figures. Give me one fact about your business that is numbers oriented or fact based. Numbers are a great thing in a business, and even how you present it is a great thing. And I know, look, you probably have never even thought of these things before, so it's going to be a little tough, but you just get an idea. Okay. Next question. You're constantly thinking about your competitors. They're taking money from you. Tell me something you do differently from your major competitor. What do you do differently? Okay. Over the years, you've had great clients. They've loved you. Tell me what they would say if I asked why they chose to do business with you in the first place. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you a different question here, and I can illustrate the difference. So you still have great clients. They still love you. Tell me what they would say if I asked why they are still doing business with you. And I can tell you the difference between why they chose me and why they are still doing business with me. Many of my clients chose me because I think about marketing differently, and I do the deep dive on strategy before I spend a dime of their money. Why they still do business with me is that I've been told that I'm the most responsive marketing person that they've ever dealt with, that I'm always there and I'm always pushing them to do things. So why would they still be doing business with you? Okay. Over the years, they've gotten to know you personally, maybe as well as professionally, hopefully. Tell me what they would say if I asked them to describe your personality. This is from their perspective, not from yours. Okay. Okay. And finally, what would they say if I asked them how you made them feel? Feel. Okay. So I understand that, that these are kind of abstract questions, but they're really designed to make you think about what you're really selling, because there's a difference between what you think you're selling and what you're really selling, why your customers trust you, how you can be different from your competitors, the emotional triggers that help you close. And they are emotional, trust me. A proof of concept of who you are on the business landscape, and how to replicate the sales that seem automatic. So the idea here is to build your brand to the point where you are considered in the mix all the time because of who you are and how people feel about you, which is your brand. and so that you lower the cost of doing business. You don't pay people like me anymore, and make sales automatic, and become a robot when it comes to selling what you sell in the marketplace. And that's it. Thank you.
Andy, I mean, wow, I'm taking notes here. It's pretty good. Thank you so much. That was great. Are you gonna share that slide with everyone, because there's a lot of thought-provoking questions here. We need some more time to.
Yeah, I'll send everyone a link to this. No
Oh,
problem. It's a Prezi, and I can encapsulate it into something that can be sent.
okay, thank you very much.